1 hour and 12 minutes.
But I didn't know he sold one.
I call the Monday, October 17th, 2022, regular business meeting of the Lee County Board of Education to order. We would like to welcome everyone and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Next, Dr. Miller will give our invocation.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to gather and do business on behalf of the children of this community. I ask that you give us wisdom and direction. We lift up our students and our staff as they're away for fall break. Bring them back safe and sound and ready for school tomorrow. We also remember Miss Opal Cannon's family and her passing. She did so much for our community and this school system, and we pray that you hand a blessing to be on her family during this time. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
You have tonight's consent agenda before you. If there are no modifications, we can adopt by consent. First up, we have approval of minutes from the September 12th, 2022 meeting and the called meeting on October 10th, 2022. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion regarding the minutes from the board? Being none, it is moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Next, we have a presentation for the financial statements from August 2022. Dr. Miller, any comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the August 2022 financial statement presented for review in tonight's board package? Is there a second?
I say.
Are there any questions from the board or discussion from the board regarding the financials?
Yes. Dr. Miller, I had a question about the after-school program. We had, the income was about 58,000, expenditures were about 46,000. In that program, do we have a grant to help students that are lower income that we can assist? Can we use this money to provide services for those students that can't afford it?
I'm not aware of a grant. I know they work with families that have difficulty paying for it. But I would think that there'd be an opportunity to help children that couldn't afford it. Are you aware of anything?
The only thing I would know of is the homeless. If they were homeless, we could probably tap into some of the homeless funds, but other than that, no, I'm not aware of anything.
Well, can we use these funds to help students if they do apply and they cannot pay for the after-school program?
That would have to be a decision of the board, yes.
I believe there is a provision. I'm not sure. Dr. Stenbridge is not here tonight, but I can follow up with her and let you know about that. I thought there was an opportunity for students who were unable to pay.
Okay, I would like the information on that, please.
The CARES money,
That's what I'm thinking, but I could be not
That's
remembering
fine.
that correctly.
Are there any further questions?
Food service, I noticed the balance that they had in food service, and all it really did was kind of spark a question about the milk. You know, how is that going? You know, do we have any other options in place that we could consider? Or possibly lowering the cost of the milk?
It's going very well. There's been a good response from the students, in particular the chocolate flavor. They like that a lot.
I do understand that.
And so we're pleased that we've not really seen a drop off, or we've not had any complaints about it, the price or the quality of the milk. we can, Miss Dunn revisits every year, so my hope is that there will be a dairy that can serve us and provide the fresh milk again, maybe as soon as next school year. We had talked to a company that was in Moultrie, and they were getting milk from Florida, but we never could get that ironed out to get the shipments here. So I know she's constantly talking to the other school nutrition directors around our part of the state, and I can certainly follow up with her on that.
Do we have the option, or do students have the option of placing the milk in a spot in the lunchroom so that other students can get the milk? We discussed that.
We used to do that. That kind of went away with COVID. I think that's a school by school situation, but we can certainly.
Instead of just putting it in the garbage can.
Yes,
So, okay, I would kind of like to know about that, because if a child would be able to drink the milk, it would be better than throwing it away.
Well, it having the unlimited shelf life, I don't think we're throwing these away.
I don't know that once we serve them, we'll have to find out that answer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we put it on their tray, though, then we can't take it off the tray.
They would have to do
They
that.
would
I
have to.
think a lot of that's handled at the lunch table. Are you gonna drink your milk? Can I have it? And that, I think a lot of that goes on in the schools. Principals, is that right? Yes.
Are there any coming back for seconds? That y'all seen?
Nobody even drinks it hardly.
The kids don't drink milk like they used to.
Or set it aside after breakfast,
Mhm.
and if they want another one, they can go up there and get it, it's over on a cart. But we used to have a fit over stuff being thrown away, but I think there's regulations about that. That we couldn't do something
Right.
that's sort of sad to see it go in the trash.
I'll follow up with Ms. Dunn about that.
I think it's been on again, off again, hadn't it, over the years? You know, we could save it. then
It's
we
been a
couldn't
while
save it.
since we couldn't save it.
Yeah,
I mean, we had
okay.
to throw it away and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions? Okay. Being none, it's been moved and seconded that the August 2022 financials be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? None. Motion passes 4-0. Next, you have tonight's consent agenda before you. Dr. Miller, would you care to discuss the consent agenda, please?
Yes, ma'am. The consent agenda is routine for this time of year. There are 26 recommendations for employment, 2 reassignments, 3 resignations, 1 website flyer request, 9 fundraisers, 6 out-of-state or overnight trips, and 1 facility use request. I recommend the board approve the consent agenda with a modification on the facility use request. In that request, there was a statement about approving the group to have practices at the facility. And I think that it would be good to just strike through that and let the principal of the school be the one to handle that. That's how we do it now. All of our principals get phone calls about ball teams coming out to the facilities, and they handle it there. I'm not sure the board would want to get into making those decisions. That would be it's worked well the way it has in the past.
May I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as presented and subsequently modified?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board for tonight's agenda?
I do have one. Under reassignments,
Yes, ma'am.
if you'll check, look at that.
Yes, ma'am.
The individual is going from a full-time grounds to a 24-hour per week. What? I don't understand that.
make
24 hours
too
per
much
week.
money.
It should be grounds.
Pardon me?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Gary.
Mr. Kelly, go ahead.
He's going on Social Security and he has the maximum he can make out of, but he still wants to work. So it's one of those kind of things. We need him, and even if it's only part of his time, but there's a maximum he can earn and still work. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
I should
And
say
that's what
grounds.
the 24 hours per week means?
Yeah, he's going from 40 hours a week to 24 hours a week.
Okay, all right, well, I understand that. Okay.
Are there any more questions? It has been moved and seconded that the October 17th, 2022 consent agenda be approved as presented and subsequently modified. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we'll have the superintendent's reports from Dr. Miller.
We'll start with student health services. Last month, we had 4,223 visits to the school clinic. Only 184 of those students were sent home, which means that 91% of the students returned to class. We've been somewhere between 0 and 5 cases of COVID for the last few weeks. And those numbers are really encouraging. And one thing we are seeing, though, is an increase in cases of flu and respiratory illness. You probably heard about that on the news as well, out in the community. Our staff flu clinics will be this week, and the student flu clinics will follow the first week of November. So we're hoping that as the flu and cold season comes, that we'll have a lot of students take advantage of the vaccination. SPLOST is really good this month. The September collections came in at $426,197.96. The print is so small on there on the board for the audience to see, but you can see that last number in the last column under 2022. And if you look just to the left, you'll see last year's collections came in at just under $400,000, so almost a $27,000 increase over last year. This would represent the highest single month of September since SPLOST collections began. Now, if you go over to the third column under 2020, that's a really big number, but you'll recall that year the state put some online sales tax collections into 1 month, and that was not a true reflection of that month. It was actually several months. The highest we ever had prior to this past September was in 2007. It got up to $330,000 in collections. So really thankful that we've exceeded that by almost $100,000, our previous high, which is great news. Moving on to plant operations. You can see, if Jennifer, if you'll scroll through the pictures, that's where the wrestlers practice. That's the old cafeteria here on this campus, and that has recently been repainted, and they make good use of that room. They work very hard, and that looks really good. I looked in there today. It's very nice for the facility that it is. And we also had some other projects. If you'll go to the next picture, we put new underpinning, or sometimes it's referred to as a skirt, on our portable buildings. These are on the west campus over near the soccer fields. So that was one of the things that they have completed recently. The Lee Primary project is moving right along. I do not have a picture of that. One decision that was recently made is that we'll be painting the building. Lee Primary was built without a gutter system, so there's some water stains on those bricks, and that building's been there since '86. We tried 2 different companies and about 3 different ways of pressure washing the bricks, and we just couldn't remove the water stains. So we're going to paint the building. There's a lot going on over there. It's really exciting. I would encourage the board to go by and visit if you have time. Work on the gymnasium will begin. I think they're gonna pour footers this week. I was by there today, and a section of the roof was removed on the front. So tomorrow, Ms. Devane was telling me that they're doing a picture in front of the famous green roof, because that's not gonna be green after they get done with that. So, a lot of equipment over there. I was talking to Ms. Ford earlier today. There's a giant piece of concrete across the road, and Ms. Ford was telling me about that. I did not know what it was. I was told it was a pond at one point, part of the walking trail across the road. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see all this going on over there. And I just commend the teachers and the staff and the students for their patience, and they're there having school, and things are going well, and the project's going well. Under transportation, we have a driver's class underway. We hope to get 4 new drivers from this class. With the approval of the consent agenda tonight, I think we are down to 1 route that is not filled at this time, so very thankful for that. That is good news. This is Bus Driver Appreciation Week. So if you see a yellow school bus on the road, think about those men and women who work so hard. We have a great team. 2/3 of our students take the bus to school. Every year, Lee County is something like 350 square miles. Every year, our buses make 1 million trips. When you look at the routes, the field trips and the ball games, and when the primary kids go over to the high school to see a play in the Clay Auditorium, and then they bring them back. When you add all that up, it's over 1 million trips. It's pretty remarkable, the amount of work that our transportation department does. And we're celebrating them this week. Finally, we have the food service report. And all Lee County school cafeterias received a 100 on their health inspection score for our first inspection of the year. As of October 1st, school nutrition began accepting free and reduced applications online. Parents can still fill out a paper application and send it to the office if that's what they prefer. However, an online application is currently available, and it's working really well. We think this is great. It makes it more convenient, and we hope more parents will take advantage of that. Ms. Ford was talking about the milk earlier. It's been a good and easy transition, lots of positive feedback, and as we said, the students really like the chocolate milk. This past month, 94,836 meals were served in our school system. And that concludes my report, so unless the board has any questions.
Technology.
Oh, did I miss technology? I sure did. Yes, and thank you, Ms. Ford. I skipped over that one. 3 things I want to talk about with technology. The board members have a flyer on top of the red folder, and that is a poster that's going to be going in all the schools. This is anonymous alerts. When we changed our server over, we went away from our previous program that did this, and this is a new program that provides an app where students can report 24/7 if there's a concern about bullying, school safety, any issue that they might be having. They can make an anonymous report from the app on their phone, or they can be on our website and make the same report. So this is going to really enhance our school safety plans. This is a more robust program than what we had before, and we're excited about this. A new website is coming soon. We will announce the release date in the near future. We're still looking at some things with the layout on that. And we recently completed a test of the School Guard Safety app. Educators can have on their phone the School Guard Safety app. It looks like that. And so in the event of an emergency situation, the teacher could hit the app, hit the button, and it would alert law enforcement and other school systems in the area. So if you heard some buzzers going off and some phone unusual phone sounds last week. It was being tested. It worked really well. We found some things we need to tweak, but we were pleased with the overall impact of that. We wanted to make sure it was effective because one of the challenges that they had with the Uvalde situation in Texas last year was they had not this app, but something like that, and they had some technical issues that day. We want to make sure ours is functioning properly, and we were pleased with that.
Are there any questions? Next, we will move along to the public participation portion of the meeting, and this is the time that the board sets aside for members of the public to address the board on any issues of concern. We have one request for tonight's meeting. Speakers will have 3 to 5 minutes to present their concerns. And on our agenda tonight is Mr. Schaus.
Hello, everyone. I want to talk about your punishment process for vaping. My daughter has been going to school here since pre-K. She's in 10th grade, and she was an absolute idiot and took a Delta 8 vape on a field trip and got caught. I signed the paper. I knew that it was a tribunal. I had no idea what that was. My kid's a good kid. Why the heck would I know what that is? I didn't know that it meant the end of her school career as far as she was concerned. That the minimum she could get would be to be kicked out of school, separated from all of her friends, not able to go on school campus, lose her classes, her clubs. That's severe for hemp, not marijuana, hemp. I'm not advocating that hemp is better than marijuana, is better than tobacco. But tobacco kills, and it's the least punishment you guys offer. Had she had tobacco, she would have got 3 days of in-school suspension and then put back into the flow, and then I would have had meat on the bone to actually punish her. But you guys took everything from her. I thought, in my mind, I never thought my daughter would commit suicide, but she was on my suicide watch for a few days after that. I'm sure you can understand what I mean. When a child thinks they've lost everything scholastically, and she cares about school. And she felt like an ass when she got caught for lying to me. I found out that 40 other parents went through this last year. Their kid got caught with Delta 8, tribunal, end of their school career for the most part. For that year anyways. It's unacceptable. If you're going to treat tobacco, which kills people, with 3 days of in-school suspension for the first offense, 3 days of out-of-school suspension for the second offense, I think that's appropriate. It's appropriate for all of them. Pot doesn't kill you. I'm not suggesting we let every child use pot. But let's pull our heads out of our dark place here and have some consistency and some common sense. Because these children are smart. They see what's fair and what's just and what's right and what's wrong. And this isn't right. First offense for any vape should be the same as tobacco. The second point that's kind of screwed up is you guys don't actually test it accurately for the sake of due process. Well, that's not due process. The tests that you guys use can only tell if there's THC in the product, not the amount of THC. And that's a big deal, because if it had THC in it derived from a marijuana plant, which by the way is separate than a hemp plant. A wolf is marijuana, your chihuahua is hemp. They're both canines, but they are not the same. Tobacco is just bubonic plague. It's the most evil killer you guys have in your schools, and you treat it minusculely compared to the other two that never killed anybody. I understand you guys have a real problem here. When I went to the tribunal, all of the administrators walked past the bathrooms because the classrooms had been let out about 5 minutes beforehand. We were wafted with strawberry shortcake, coming out of the bathrooms. I looked at the principal who just tried to give my daughter a year out and said, "Did you know what that was?" And he looked away and down and said, He didn't make a left-hand turn into the bathroom. It wasn't so serious that we needed to go catch them all, right? I kind of get the impression that the school has a policy of picking up the low-hanging fruit and making examples of them. And I don't think that that's fair. I don't think it's right. I don't think you're gonna get from the kids what you wanna get from them. I wanted to ask you guys what you wanted to get from the punishment, but I understand this isn't a question and answer type of thing, but if you're trying to change a child's patterns, and you don't want them to do that anymore, how much is too much? Would the 3 days of ISS handle it? I don't know. But you guys are using a sledgehammer to kill a gnat. And you're on track to do it to 40 more parents, 40 more kids this year. My daughter's gonna get what she got, and she's not gonna get anything given to her. I'm not here for that. But I don't wanna see this happen to any other families. I'd like to see you guys get together and come up with a little more, less heavy-handed policy that doesn't pull the rug out from underneath you. I mean, you still have to keep order there, you still have to protect these kids. But the reality is tobacco's killing them, hemp's maybe taking away a little bit of their anxiety. So, just consider it. This is, it's too heavy.
Thank you for your concerns, and we will take them under advisement.
Okay, I didn't mean to do that, I just didn't know.
What is our policy on Delta 8?
You treat it like marijuana. A class 3.
We did? A legal substance?
It is treated, and they go to a tribunal.
I wanted to
So
say.
what's the policy for a vape pen?
It's just a vape pen is light and smoky.
So a vape pen, how do you know what's in it?
It's tested.
The test isn't accurate though, and the police stated that the test wasn't accurate. You could get a more accurate test, but the administration stated to me that that would take more time and deprive the child of due process, which is bull. You're depriving the child of due process by not getting accurate results.
So my last question is, and I know this isn't a question and answer, so it's for this board or whoever wants to answer it. Did you say your daughter was expelled from school?
She was put into THC, or TLC, which means she can't come on any school grounds anymore. She can go to TLC, she can't go to football games, she can't go see her friends at a play or anything on campus. So she's off school campus until January, where she might be able to come back. And so you know, if you were to get caught on school grounds with an actual marijuana THC pen, 80, 90%, that's up to 40 years in a school ground. It's serious. That's a 40-year jail sentence. So I think this is a serious thing that you guys need to look at, get your ducks in a row, and don't hammer these kids too hard.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll move to discussion and action items. First up, the board has been requested to approve the Parents' Bill of Rights, policy JRB. Dr. Miller, would you like to recap?
Yes, ma'am. The Lee County Board of Education promotes parental involvement in schools. Policy JRB, the Parents' Bill of Rights, is been developed out of legislation passed last spring by the Georgia General Assembly, and it makes available to parents procedures to do several things: review records, learn about a child's course of study, object to instructional materials, withdraw a child from a sex education class, or provide notice that photographs or video of a child are not permitted to be taken or used.
May I have a motion to approve policy JRB, Parents' Bill of Rights, as presented? Okay, may I have a second?
I'll second
Are there any questions or further discussion from the board? Being none, it's been motioned and seconded that the Parents' Bill of Rights, policy JRB, be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, we have also been asked to approve harmful to minors complaint resolution process, policy IKBC. Dr. Miller.
Another law that was passed by the General Assembly set up this is the reason for this policy, IKBC, materials harmful to minors complaint resolution process. Allows the board to address complaints by parents and guardians alleging material that is harmful to minors has been provided or is available to their child. A complaint resolution process with 9 steps is outlined in this policy, and you can see the steps. Jennifer, can you scroll up? Under, those are the 9 steps in the policy. And this was presented first time to the board last month.
May I have a motion to approve policy IKBC, harmful to minors complaint resolution process, as presented? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Are there any questions or further discussion regarding the policy? It has been moved and seconded that policy IKBC, harmful to minors complaint resolution process, be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The next action item, we have been requested to approve Lee County Elementary School to host camp convention. Dr. Moore, would you like to speak to the
Yes, ma'am. We've hosted camp convention a number of years during the summer between the school terms. It provides students an opportunity to build their own inventions, things like robots, and learn about entrepreneurship and much more. The directors are requesting to hold camp convention the week of June 5th through 9th, 2023. I recommend the board approve this request.
May I have a motion to approve camp convention to be hosted by Lee County Elementary School from June 5th to June 9th, 2022, as presented?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, are there any questions or further discussion?
Dr. Miller, when is summer school?
Summer school?
Summer school.
Yes, ma'am. I don't, those dates have not been set yet. It's usually the 2 weeks following.
Would this conflict, the 5th or the 9th?
I don't know, Ms. Ford, I can find out.
I just wondered. I know
Yes,
we
ma'am.
do camp convention every
Yes,
year at the
ma'am.
elementary school.
Yes, ma'am. I think the hours are later, but I'll find out.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any more questions? It has been moved and seconded to approve camp convention at Lee County Elementary School from June 5th to June 9th, 2022. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have been requested to approve the sale of surplus and miscellaneous items. Dr. Miller.
There are several items, a truck with electrical problems, benches, bookshelves, trailers, furniture, and an old milk cooler. So we're asking your permission to put those out there, and believe it or not, people will buy these things. So.
May I have a motion to approve the sale of the surplus and miscellaneous items as presented?
Make a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved, or excuse me, are there any further questions or discussion from the board? It is moved and seconded to approve the sale of surplus and/or miscellaneous items as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The last item is we've been requested to approve a revised salary guide, page 27. Dr. Miller.
You have a request to modify the salary guide. We would like to add a new position of employee benefits coordinator under the other system-wide positions hourly rate schedule. I recommend the board approve.
May I have a motion to approve the revision of page 27 of the salary guide as presented?
Make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second
Are there any questions from the board? Being none, it has been moved and seconded to approve the revision to page 27 of the salary guide as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
it. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We have an executive session to consider the evaluation of an employee, after which there will be no new business taken up at tonight's meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
I'll make a motion.
To discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent.
Trey, will you just second?
Second.
Are there any questions regarding this? Being none, it is motioned and seconded to adjourn to executive session as stated. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting, and we are currently adjourned.